Hello everybody, my name is Christian Quick, and welcome back to another video. Today, I hope you're you're prepared to get a little crazy, because we're going to be talking about crashing the game with a little bit of speed. Alright, here we are back in our little block registry, and we are going to be talking about a couple more block settings. So, if we just simply control D, we're going to call this new block of ours, we could call this, we're going to call this soap, because we are going to be slipping and sliding all over the place, and we're going to call this soap. Oop, that's not how you spell it, soap. And so we're not going to be making an advanced block, but we are going to need all this extra stuff in here because it is not air. We're going to be working on three things. Velocity multiplier. We're then going to be working on slipperiness, and then velocity multiplier. So because of the multipliers, let's go over slipperiness first. But these are the three that we're going to be going over. Alright, and I personally made a soap texture. Don't ask me how long it took. The timestamp's at the bottom. However, I have a soap texture. I have no idea how it's going to look, but it's pretty slimy soap, so it's its own thing. So, with that in mind, let's focus on slipperiness. And how does slipperiness work? There is this little red line telling me that there is a problem. Slipperiness float cannot be applied to... hold on, let's try and do it again. Dot slipperiness. Yeah, so basically it says I need a float. A float is a type of number. So if I say 1.0 or just 1, that is basically a whole number. Floats can do 1.00001. They could go a lot farther than that. But basically what you need to know is that floats are basically decimals. So for slipperiness, I think a good slipperiness is, let's say, like 1.1. However, when you make it a float, when I say 1, it's going to basically do 1.0f. That is basically its default, but if you ever do a decimal, I say 1.1, I need to write in F for float, basically saying that I am putting in a decimal number. With that, let's load in this float and see how the block looks. Alright, here we are in the game. What I'm going to do, because I want to see what happens when I'm slipping on a lot of this stuff, is I'm going to create new world, preparing, I'm going to put it in creative, I'm going to go into world, make it super flat, right? But then I'm going to customize it and go to presets. And then I'm going to take where it says grass block, specifically this whole part that says grass block and the Minecraft, because that's the namespace. I'm going to replace it with HMH3. And then I'm going to call it soap. And then I'm going to hit use that preset. And here we have soap, dirt, and bedrock. So then we will hit done on here. I gotta do more game rules, and then I personally like that when I put on spawning, I turn spawn mobs off. So then we're gonna create this new world. Everything should be all done and ready to go. And now here we have our soap. Looking really interesting. So if I start dragging on the ground, so there's a couple things. I think 1.1 for slipperiness is a good place to start. Now, I'm actually not moving the WAS keys. I'm holding still. If I actually start pushing against it, you can. And then we got all this. So if I wanted to try and stop, I should probably use shift. It makes it a lot easier. There we go. So we are once again stopped. But I think interesting about slipperiness is that if I keep holding the forward key, it's just going to keep launching me forward. And then if I just kind of stop moving, it's just going to maintain that speed despite me not actually like moving. And then actually I can look in any direction I want. It's not really going to affect anything. But, that was... okay. Goodbye, village. Usually I turn those off. But if I want to see the village, I just keep moving straight. Moving straight in the path of the village. Oh, there we go. And, oh, I landed on blocks that stopped me. Lol. Look at this is really funny. at first it is not too bad. But like I said, this is a good slipperiness that you would want to like start with when you're like really getting into slipperiness. But that cat's just gone. Let's go to the other village. I'm gonna stop at the well there. I'm gonna start resisting. And then we are back here at the well. Alright. Oh no. let's push him. Yeah. Oh. Okay. He definitely had the speed capacity to stop me. But we're not gonna get into that. So, slipperiness is weird. So, you slip on it, and you can stop if it's lower than the number it's set to. Just kind of play around with it, but it does let you slip on the object, and then obviously when you stop, you stop. It's so fun watching all of the villagers go around. Something that's weird is the other one that we're going to be looking at is velocityMultiplier, and it's like I swear I would want to switch them because I feel that when I'm moving forward in this, I feel like this is a true velocity multiplier. But I don't know. Apparently the game is saying what it is. So let's stop at this village real quick and let's switch them out. So now I have the slipperiness as 1.1. So now let's change this to velocity multiplier, and you can see on the inside it says float and then velocity multiplier, so we're just going to put in here, and 1.1 is a perfect float, but let's put in 1.6 because that is personally a good number to start with velocity multiplier. Now, because velocity multiplier has a higher number to be what I would consider good, that is because slipperiness is stronger. It's a lot stronger than velocity multiplier, but it's similar and different. If I stand on it or if I jump, if I start walking and then I stop walking, you'll notice how it goes through. So I'm not really too sure why this is called velocity multiplier. Oop. And that definitely crashed the game. And then it'll tell me, hey, it's basically, I don't even really, I think it's like multiplying some sort of velocity and it got way too big. However, my velocity did not feel like it was going that fast. Crazy. I know, right? So between the two, they are pretty similar, but honestly, because I can start and stop with velocity multiplier, while with slipperiness, you have to fight it. You have to fight it. I feel like these two literally should be switched, but they're not. And then let's say like I made it, and then let's say I go back to slipperiness. What happens if I make it a negative number? You can actually do this with floats, and it's gonna do some crazy. It's gonna do some weird, crazy stuff. I think the velocity multiplier is also a little crazy itself. But this is mainly just trial and error. If you just want to watch for entertainment, you can. And then we're going to get into the last one, which actually is the only one that really makes sense, and that's literally jump velocity multiplier. So obviously if I move, it wants to move me in the opposite direction, but then it realizes I'm supposed to be slipping forward. If I jump forward, I'm jumping forward, and you can see how it's like knocking me back. If I jump and move back, you'll notice that it also does not, like, it is actually moving me backwards, but it's doing it very slowly. So it is actually accommodating to the thing. And this is on slipperiness, I believe. And I think what's crazy about this is we said that with positive numbers, that slipperiness is stronger. But now let's try and do the same thing, but instead of slipperiness, we're going to do the velocity multiplier, and we're going to do negative 1.6, because that is the better number for that one. And this one is also probably going to crash the game again, but hey, gotta do what you gotta do. Alright, here we are. If I move forward, if I just walk forward on velocity multiplier at a negative number, it will let me go forward. If I jump while trying to move forward, it'll let me jump, and it still kind of works. It kind of fights itself, though. And for whatever reason, you can see how it fights itself. See how it like pushed me back? It's even crazier when I try and move back and do the jump. Because it's going to actually multiply my velocity each time I jump backward, and I will fall out of the chunks. And, well, surprisingly, this didn't crash my game. I think it's because it's loading the number that it stopped loading the chunks and the chunks are too big. So usually the last time I did this, I did /kill, and that crashed the game. Because, well, yeah. So we're just going to crash it the easy way by just exiting out of it. Maybe hitting that on it. Okay, it was really stuck for a second. Alright. Let's sit down to the only one that personally makes sense to me. And this is going to be the jumpVelocityMultiplier. And let's just set this to... We can set this to 10. We can set this to a high number. I think 10 is a good one to start playing out with. Not in survival. If you want to start in survival, you could probably try a smaller number. Well, you'll see what I mean. So here we are loading terrain. If I jump, it's going to jump me about 60 blocks. And the only thing that's different about this is with jumpMultiplier, it does not stack. So if I had somehow landed on another block, it will not actually affect really anything. So it will toss me up like a little hacky sack. But that's literally just about it. Once I'm done being sacked up in the air, it'll drop me, and I will always be at the same height. There isn't really like bounciness, and bounciness is not a block setting. You can try and look it up, but I'm telling you, bouncy, it's just not there. What's really cool about the jumpVelocityMultiplier, if I put this to 1 and I say I want it to be -1, this will absolutely disable your ability to jump when you're standing on top of the block. There are probably better ways that you would want to disable jumping, but I do think that this is a really interesting way to also disable jumping. You can see I am holding space, but as soon as I start going on here, I just kind of slide. And then I just start jumping when I start landing on the blocks, and then I just start sliding. And then obviously, because it's all craziness really, if I do .slipperiness and I do 1.0f, and then I do .velocityMultiplier and I do 1.0f, you can put them on the same block, and even the jump multiplier, this right here, if I just set this to just regular 1, and then we can just go forward. Alright, here we are. We have now added them all to the block, and if I think adding the 2 of them is okay. It does give you a little bit of a slip, but you kind of stop, just like how it is with velocityMultiplier at a low number. And then with the slipperiness, if I run, it will slowly but surely increase my speed. And then I also have the jump multiplier set to 1, which I believe is literally just the default. But that is going to cover everything in this tutorial concerning the slipperiness, the velocity between your speed velocity, and your jump velocity. That is some really... I just gave you basically some interesting numbers to start with, but if you just want to play with them from there, you can make negative numbers. But overall, slipperiness is much more powerful, and it's also less likely to... it is also less likely to crash your game. So if you want something that doesn't crash your game, I would not suggest using velocityMultiplier. It crashes the game, and it's also a lot weaker, so use at your own risk, I guess. Especially when you're using like blocks like this, because people will apparently make cannons. I had this happen on my original server with banana peels, and now banana peels have a very big issue because people are making cannons out of them. But that's going to be it for this video, so if you have any comments, you can ask them down in the comments below. I'll be sure to try and get to them as best as I can. So with that in mind, thank you guys so much for watching, and without further ado,